August 1st, 2019. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 187 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
This news is kind of a little old, but I wanted to talk about some of the specifics here that maybe some listeners might not be familiar with.
I'm not familiar with.
All right. So there was a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit was brought against Encore Boston Harbor, which pretty much just opened.
Right.
And the lawsuit says that Encore is cheating by dealing 6-5 blackjack. Now, if that's all you heard, you'd think, well, what do you mean cheating, right? It's 6-5 blackjack. Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
But it's not cheating. It probably says 6-5 blackjack right there on the table.
I'm sure.
You know, it's everywhere. But here are some of the specifics. The lawsuit says that they're cheating by dealing 6-5 blackjack games under conditions that go against Massachusetts Gaming Commission rules. The lawsuit claims that 6-5 games can only be dealt with 1 or 2 decks, and that Encore is dealing 6-5 with 8 decks out of a shoe.
Well, shouldn't that be real obvious in the law? I mean, if it says 1 or 2.
Well, let's keep going.
All right. All right. Because so far to me, it seems like, okay, if that's the way the law is written.
All right, but
however, I'm not an attorney,
right?
and things are often worded.
I'm going to read directly from the Massachusetts Gaming Commission rules for blackjack, all right? At one point in the document, it says, the minimum number of decks used to play blackjack shall be 1 or 2 if the 6-5 blackjack variant is offered.
Now, that's the minimum.
Right. First of all, okay.
So right there.
That's the minimum.
That leaves it open for, I could have 100 decks.
Okay, but I'm going to go a little bit further.
I just can't deal half a deck.
That's right. I'm going to go a little bit further. But first of all, let's make it clear that Encore Boston Harbor is dealing a 6-5 game with 8 deck shoes. Okay, so they are doing that.
Yes.
But you're right. This says minimum. Now,
this says minimum.
This is not exactly related to what we're talking about, but the minimum number of decks used to play blackjack shall be 1 or 2. Well, then it's just 1. It doesn't make any sense. Already somebody's written it poorly.
Yeah, right.
If
exactly.
It's 1 or 2, it's 1.
Did an attorney write this? Because if the minimum, you're right, you said 1 or 2, then 1 would be the minimum, right? Right? And now if they say, oh, you can't go under a deck. You can't have
half a deck, right? All the tens and jacks and queens.
Right, are gone.
All right. But later on in the document, it says, all cards used at blackjack shall be dealt from a dealing shoe specifically designed for such purpose, with the exception of the 6-5 blackjack variation, which shall be dealt from the dealer's hand.
Okay, now that's hard to do with 8 decks.
Very hard to do with 8 decks, right?
You need to hire like one of the NBA players with those huge hands. So it could be the only person dealing.
Just these big, tall guys have big guys. I've got it for you
Muhammad
right
Ali, from the tip of his thumb to the tip of his baby finger, if they were extended out 13 inches.
All right. So
just a little fact there. He could deal 8 decks. My 9 inches cannot deal 8 decks.
You're 9 inches. Yeah. That's quite an estimate you got there.
Hands.
Oh, yeah, all right. So when you hear that part of the document, you're thinking, okay, they didn't really mean to say minimum decks, 1 or 2. For 6-5 blackjack. What they really meant to say is just 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It has to be 1 or 2.
Yeah, like the maximum can be 2.
Right. And then even later on in the document, it says, if a gaming licensee offers the 6-5 blackjack variation, a dealer shall deal the cards from his or her hand. So, clearly that was the intent. Now, the other part of the lawsuit also says that slot players are being cheated because when players cash out, they can only cash out for even dollar amounts.
Now that is bad.
Okay, now I think it's very similar to what we have here at Hamul Casino.
Right, exactly.
Where you go to the machine, let's say you got $5.39.
Right.
You put it in the machine will give you $5 and then a 39-cent voucher.
Right.
Then they're hoping you'll put it back in the machine.
Right.
Now, if it's like Hamul, and I think Encore probably is, if you were to take the 39-cent voucher up to the cashier, they'd give you 39 cents.
They'll give you 39 cents.
Okay.
Right.
So
it's just the machine does not dispense coins.
And we know that machines can dispense coins.
They do
got it up at Harris. Right. So this doesn't sound like cheating.
No.
Right?
That's a marketing strategy.
It's actually pretty crappy on the part of the casino, I think, because of course not everybody's going to do that.
Yeah, it's
right? They're going to take it home or
strategy.
whatever.
No, you know what happens is they just throw it away.
Yeah, that could be too.
They have like 22 cents and they just leave it or throw it away.
Now, what the casino actually does with that extra money, I'm not going to claim that they just pocket it. Maybe it goes into some kind of account or charity. So I'm not going to claim what they do with it.
Okay. But if you had to guess, what do you think they're doing with it?
I'm not going to guess, but it's still crappy for the customer.
Yeah, I know what they're doing with it.
It's not good for the customer.
It's going in a pull-out bag.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
Pull-out bag. Yeah,
filling that pull-up.
All right. Well, the lawsuit actually says cheating. The lawsuit suffered a setback because the Massachusetts Gaming Commission came out and said that Encore Boston Harbor has not violated state regulations at its blackjack tables or slot machines. So again, that's not a ruling by the court. That's just the commission coming out and saying it. Right. So I'd say the lawsuit doesn't have much of a chance. But,
well, yeah, if the commissioner says it's okay, what's the judge what's he going to do?
But it is interesting that the rules are vague or unclear or contradictory in the way that it's worded. So
well, that'll be the next Senate hearing that we'll have in Congress.
Really?
We'll try and get this 6-5 thing figured out.
You think it's going to go to the federal level?
All the way.
Okay.
Supreme Court's going to have to rule about 6-5 blackjack.
I hope so. Yeah, it's one of those things where, cheating is just not the right word. It's terrible. We hate it.
Well,
but they're telling you what they're going to pay you, right?
Right. The funny thing is that it says, it's worded so poorly.
Yeah, it really is.
So, what did they obviously got somebody who lost on that, Am I Smarter Than a Fifth Grader show? And they got them to write it. So a minimum of 1 or 2.
Yeah, a minimum of 1 or 2. I'll take 2, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, why? Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm back from Comic-Con, and there was actually a panel that we went to that tangentially has to do with the podcast. So let me tell you about it.
There you
okay.
go. All right.
So there's a new series coming to ABC in September starring Kobe Smulders.
They've had a lot of commercials for that.
Yeah. Okay. So
TV.
you've probably seen it there.
ABC,
Yeah. Anyway, you'll remember Kobe from How I Met Your Mother. She played Robin, and also she played Maria Hill in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Still does.
Right.
Well, the show is called Stumptown, and it's based on a series of graphic novels written by Greg Rucka about an Army veteran who is now a private investigator working in Portland, Oregon. That's Kobe Smulders' character. And she's got a bit of a gambling problem.
Yeah.
Right? In fact, talking about those ads, you've probably seen there's a craps table, a casino craps table that's very prominent in the ad.
Prominent, yeah.
We saw just a couple of clips at Comic-Con. I was hoping to see the whole pilot episode. There were some shows, they showed us the whole pilot, but this was just a couple of clips. But it looks like it's going to be pretty good with a healthy dose of humor. Rucka mentioned that the Rockford Files was one of his inspirations for writing the comics. And the Rockford Files, arguably the greatest PI TV series of all time, right? So the clips look good. So anyway, watch for that in September. I think late September on ABC Stumptown.
Stumptown.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, well, it'll get canceled in 2 episodes.
I know. After all that, it really did look good. So
well, the commercials look good.
Yeah, I can't. You can never tell until you see the whole episode.
What worries me is when they're showing commercials, way in advance. It's always a sign that we don't know how good this is going to go, so we'll build it up and then, hope it takes off.
Maybe.
Because sometimes good shows you never hear about, and then all of a sudden they're on, and it's like, wow, this is pretty good.
I don't know if there's a correlation there, but okay.
Maybe not.
All right.
But you know what I mean.
I'm making no claims at this point.
Okay. Right. As long as there's enough gambling in it, I'll be happy. Colby Smulders playing craps.
One of the main characters is the owner, or maybe not the owner, but the woman who runs the casino that Kobe goes to. It's a tribal casino.
Okay.
And so this woman
Where does it take place at?
Portland.
Oh, in Portland.
So she's a regular character, this casino manager. So there's going to be some casino action, you would think.
Yeah.
Or at least talk about it.
Yeah, there'd have to be, right?
Yeah. Oh, we got an email from Alex. Alex had finished playing craps at a casino that may or may not be in the Baltimore area. And he was coloring up for around $1,100. He had bought in for $500 and had won about $600. So he's cashing out for about $1,100. So the dealer took his chips and pushed them to the boxman. And the boxman started sorting them out, to start counting. But then he got distracted by something else going on at the table. Well, after about 20 seconds, he had completely forgotten what he was doing and started pushing all the chips into the bank before he had actually counted them out.
Nice.
Right? Just pushing them in. Alex tried to stop him, but it was too late. He had completely mixed the chips into the bank. So surveillance was called. It only took about 5 minutes to get sorted out, so Alex wasn't too upset. In fact, he didn't mind at all because, and I'm just going to quote him here, let's just say I was pleasantly surprised with the number they called back with.
Nice. Well, it'd be hard, right? They're all stacked up. And if it's anything like Harrah's, where the greens and the reds are hard to distinguish.
Yes.
When they're
even when you're up close to them.
Right. And somebody looking on a monitor has to think, okay, is that 3 greens and 2 reds? Or is that all green? Or, so they probably were trying to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, right?
Well, Alex said that the employees were certain they'd never seen that before and would never see that again. I don't know about that. That seems like something that might happen very much.
Well, it's one of my huge pet peeves when they're not paying attention. I mean, if you start to do something, do it and get it done and pay attention, do it right, and then go on to the next step when you're trying to multitask.
Right. Well, something similar happened to me, only mine could have been much worse. It was on the other end.
Yours was horrific.
It's when I was cashing in, I put down $1,000, and in the course of, I got distracted, the dealer got distracted, and then one of the dealers just dropped my money.
Right.
Just
without
put it
counting
into the slot.
Right. They never even counted
Nobody had spread it out or anything.
Right.
So even if they went to the camera, they wouldn't know. It was just a stack of bills. It could have been 100 on top and a bunch of ones underneath.
Right. Yeah.
Luckily, I'm a regular, and they said,
and you always buy in for 1,000.
I always buy in for 1,000. Oh, was it 1,000, Mark? Yeah, it was 1,000. But can you imagine if you were in Vegas, they don't know you at all, and you just put money there. They just drop it. Even if they open the box, maybe they could see what was on top and figure it out.
Yeah, I bet that's pretty difficult. I mean, the only thing is they'd have to backtrack, like when they emptied the box to then and count everyone's buy-in. And
they'd have to do it right away. I mean, is what I'm saying is just
right. They'd have to take that box out, and they'd have to see how much money's in there, and then the camera would have to back up everyone who had bought in before you.
Well, if you're going to be completely accurate, I would hope that maybe your bills would just be on top.
Well, maybe it goes into a box. It's all hundreds in there.
Yeah, I know, but when it falls down, they kind of fall down. I know they're folded when they go in, but you'd hope they'd kind of fall down in a box.
I doubt if that.
Well, we don't need to worry about it because I bought in for 1,000. I told them it was 1,000. They gave me 1,000.
They did give you 1,000. I hope you gave them 9. Actually, I hope you screwed up. The one time you counted it out wrong.
No, I don't think so.
It was 1,000.
I would have fessed up to something like that because that's the kind of mistake that. I'm going to start doing that now. Always buy in for 9 in case they mess up. Oh, it's 1,000. I always do.
And then just say, here's the other 100.
Here's the
it's still in my wallet.
What was I thinking?
I had 1,000.
Stupid Mark.
Just in case they drop it ahead of time. I wish they dropped 5,000 of mine. Well, I bought in for 50,000.
You saw that stack I came to the table with. Come on. Oh, we got a voicemail from listener Casey. He was listening to our episode on tipping, and he wanted to know, Dr. Mike, if you've ever gotten a tip from one of your patients.
You know what's funny? Yes.
Okay.
Many, many times.
Cash and
really? Gifts.
I was going to say gifts I can understand.
At least 15 to 20 times a year, somebody gives me a cash tip.
Really?
Yeah, and I always say to them, well, no, you just pay your bill. No, I want to pay a little extra. Just take it as a tip.
Wow.
It happens all the time, Mark. It freaks me out.
I'm surprised.
Now, you know how much I get at Christmas. Mm-hmm. I mean, Christmas, I
get all sorts of...
I just gave one of my wife's relatives about 30 bottles of alcohol.
Right.
Because I get so much damn alcohol, we can't go through it.
Yeah.
So, I get a ton of gifts at Christmas time. But all year long, at least once a month, somebody, their bill will be like 100 and they'll give 120.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah, I never get tipped at work.
No.
I literally never get tipped at work.
Well, you don't provide a service.
I don't work with the public. That might be part of it.
That's
just for my fellow employees, right? Are you going to give me a tip for that?
I'll tell you, though, it does freak me out why somebody would be tipping me.
Yeah.
I'm not a waitress or something. So,
it's nice. You're big on tipping. You tip, right? So.
Honestly, I'm always flabbergasted and I always thank them so much. And usually what happens is I take that money and we just buy lunch for the staff.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah.
That's what we do with it.
Good.
Yeah, and it's nice. And some people they just, I don't know, they just, want to give a little extra, I guess.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that Casey asked this question because I would have thought you'd just say, well, I get gifts.
Yeah.
But no money.
Oh,
wow.
no. I should, one year I'm going to count it up.
All right.
We'll see. I bet you it's...
You paying taxes on those tips?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Good.
Why would I not?
Yeah, of course not.
That's earned income.
I just want you got a separate little thing for tips. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's go to some voicemails. First up is our buddy Ed.
Hey, Mark, it's your buddy Ed in New Jersey. Listen, on your last episode, you mentioned that you were up for the year in craps. And that's like you said, you were up substantially in craps. You cannot do that. You are poking the gambling gods right in the eye. You did what the Italian side of my family would say, gave yourself a Malokia. Or my Jewish wife would say, a Kanahara. Heed my advice. Do not poke the gambling gods. Good luck, guys. Be well.
All right, so the reason I brought it up, the point that I was trying to make was I wanted to emphasize that just because you're winning at something doesn't mean you'll continue to win.
Right.
So craps, you're going to lose in that in the long run. But I've been so lucky so far this year that 6 months of a lot of craps playing, at least once a week and some trips, I'm up.
Well, what Ed is saying, by the end of the year, you're going to be walking funny.
That's possible. But again, that was the whole point that I made.
Right.
Now, I still did want to brag a little bit, so that was one reason I brought it up too.
Right.
And in fact, I emailed Ed the exact number. I have a nice little spreadsheet and sent him everything so that he could actually see where I was at.
Now you're walking in my shoes, Ed. This is what I have to put up with all the time. Here's my spreadsheet. This is how much I'm up. Where's yours? I don't have a spreadsheet, and I'm not up.
Now, to be fair, when you saw that I was creating this spreadsheet and it was going to be way more detailed than I had done before, you said to me, I want you to send me an update every quarter.
I did. And you have.
And that's what I've been doing.
You have sending me an update. Well, I like to look at it. I wished I could play like you.
Boy, I'll tell you, when you see, like I keep track of tips.
Right.
And I tip, $1 and $2 here and there, right? I'm not making big tips.
Right.
And you saw the figure for my tips.
Yeah.
I
was astounded.
It's hard to believe. So you can just imagine what you're throwing out there in tips, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah. I looked at yours and I about my pants.
Oh, yikes.
Because I'm thinking, if he's doing that much with his dollars here and there, I must be tipping a lot.
Yeah, you are. All right, next call.
Hey, guys. I was just listening to a podcast, and y'all mentioned how y'all always use your free play on video poker. I was just wondering why that was the case. Someone who doesn't get much free play, I want to know how I can maximize it. Keep up the good work, you guys.
Well, in our case, we are offered free play at Harrah's Southern California in either table game chips or slot play, machine play, which you can use on video poker.
And they're vastly different in how it works.
Right. At the table game, they give you chips, but they will take the chips whether you win or lose.
Right.
It's
a one play thing. So you make your bet. If it wins, if you made a $5 bet, they give you $5 real dollars and take the free play away. It doesn't stay out there.
Right. So if you get $100 in free play and you use table game chips, that's really only worth $50.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Whereas if you use it for machines, you get the full amount. And video poker has generally a better payback than a typical slot machine. So that's why we do video poker. Now, at your casino, it might be different. There might be chips that stay out there, win or lose. And then you don't necessarily have to play video poker. You can play whatever you want.
You can play whatever you want. Yeah. And for us, we found that our payback on the video poker machines is, like I put 100 in, I'm disappointed when I get 85 out of it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm expecting like 90 or more, and typically you will. You'll put 100 in, you'll get 110, you'll get 95 and of real money.
Yeah.
So we count how many pushes we've pushed, and when we've reached the max that we've used all of our free play, we cash out.
And then every once in a while, we play bonus poker usually. Every once in a while, we'll hit 4 aces, and suddenly we got way more than we had. So yeah.
And of course, Mark locks his up in the vault, and I take mine to the craps table and lose it.
Yeah, exactly. First, I enter it in my spreadsheet, and
then you lock it in the vault.
Yep, exactly. All right, who's next? Here we go, Melanie.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Dr. Mark. This is Melanie from Colorado calling in with a little Blackhawk trip report. I played today at Ameristar. Played poker, won 3, no limit. I guess it's no limit. I mean, the max bet is $100 a hand. I got it all in, all $100. Pair of kings against pair of jacks, and don't you know he rivered the jack. Let's see, I played craps at the lodge, and one of the best things about Colorado casinos, in addition to they're non-smoking, they're typically not crowded, parking is free, we'll throw that out there. They have a lot of natural light, and the lodge is one of those places with really big windows, and I really like that about Colorado casinos. It also has self-service beverages. They're non-alcoholic, and there's usually a great selection, and alcohol drinks are free. They have to bring it to you. You can't go get that. Even Ameristar leaves bottles of water on the bar in their really cool center bar area with all the TVs and the sports and the great speakers. And I went on a crazy streak up in Central City. The difference between Central City and Blackhawk is Blackhawk has typically corporate casinos or really large ones that look like casinos, whereas Central City has retained its Old West character. So it's got the swinging bar doors and mannequins dressed in outfits from that era, from the 1890s, when it truly was the Wild West. I guess that's about it, but it's beautiful up there. There are, if you feel like it, some cool drives in that area, including Oh My God Road, goes into Idaho Springs. It's not open in the winter, but it is now, and it's beautiful. So if you end up in Colorado this summer, Blackhawk and Central City, non-smoking, free drinks. Anyway, thanks, guys. Bye.
If we end up in Colorado,
Right.
we're going to go. I can't see us making a special
That's a pretty
trip
big if.
because of the $100 max. But, oh, yeah,
You know
we're
what?
there.
She mentions a great thing. I love windows in casino. I know a lot of them don't, and most of them are, you can't see out. They don't want you to see out because they don't want you to see how nice it is outside.
right.
But when you go to a casino that does have windows, it is so nice.
It is nice. Laughlin, they have it
Laughlin,
right
yeah,
on the
where you
lake
can
there.
see the river, right.
And we heard the resort's Catskills, we heard had big windows.
The other thing that Melanie brings up is the free waters at the bar.
Just
which is
sitting out
nice,
there.
Yeah. So when we have a casino, we're going to have free waters lined up, and then we'll have some beverages like soda and stuff, and then we'll have a case with bars and chains and everything, and the Rockstar will be behind that.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
The Rockstar and any energy drink will be locked in there, and nobody will know where the key is.
Good.
It's just like, no, you've got to get special.
That's just
Clearance.
good. That's just good casino management.
Yeah.
All right. Next call.
Hey guys, Nick from Chicago. First off, I want to say you have a freaking amazing podcast. You guys have a great rapport, very entertaining, and I'm grinding through the episodes right now, and I'm glad I discovered you a few weeks ago. A little crazy story of mine happened tonight. I'm playing at the Horseshoe in Hammond, Indiana, and I'm playing PLO, Pot Limit Omaha. It's a very, very high variance form of live poker. You get 4 cards instead of 2. The swings are massive. Long story short, I was up a couple thousand, down a couple thousand, ended up going broke, whatever. So as I'm leaving the casino, I had one black chip left in my pocket, $100 chip. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to throw this on the roulette table. I decided to throw it on black 26. I'm down 2,000 for the day. What's an extra 100? Who cares? As that little marble is dancing in and out of each slot and giving you that adrenaline rush, whether you're going to win or lose, it's a crazy feeling. Boom, lands in black 26, $3,500 in your face. So I ended up getting out of my hole and plus 1,500 for the day. Absolutely wild day. I hope this doesn't become a habit because I know roulette's a negative EV game, but wanted to share with you guys the story, and thanks again. Keep up the good work.
I was praying so hard he was going to say 12 red. Remember that when I was in Vegas and I was down, and my friend said to me, put that on 12 red. And I'm like, that's silly. Right. What a waste. And I didn't. And then 12 red came up. Yeah. And then we stood there and watched as they spun it again, and 12 red came up. I was like, oh my God. If he had said 12 red.
Well, congratulations, Nick. It's interesting because we also got 37 other calls from 37 other listeners who had a single black chip as they left the casino. They all put it on black 26 and they lost.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play those calls.
No.
Because I don't think they're that interesting. But,
it's just like I had a single black chip and I lost.
That's it. Thanks for calling.
Good for Nick,
yep,
right?
It's good for Nick.
Is Pot Limit Omaha high only or is it high low?
You can play it high low, but usually it's high only.
Right.
But it's high low. It really gets crazy.
Yeah, you get some crazy things.
I prefer limit anyway. Yeah. So I've never played pot limit, but no, you can play it both ways, but it's typically high only. Yeah.
Omaha, we like Omaha.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, if we're going to go in a casino, we prefer to play Omaha.
I would,
than Texas Hold'em.
For sure.
It's just, I don't know. We're old.
That's right. I guess that has something to do with it.
That has a lot to do with it.
To me, it's a more interesting game.
It's more interesting, exactly.
Yeah. All right, next up is Steve.
Hi, guys. It's Steve from Virginia. After my initial trip to the World Series of Poker, I decided to fly back out a week later to play some more. Just a little update. The initial trip, I carried $800 with me. I came home with $3,200 between playing satellite and a couple of hits on a slot machine. Second trip, I carried $1,200 out with me, and I came back with an additional $3,000.
Nice.
I had a blast both times. I stayed at Harrah's, but played at Rio, and played at the Venetian. Loved the Venetian for the design of the casino. Felt right at home there, comfortable. Harrah's, to me, is beyond dated and just needs to be completely reworked. Again, all in all, the first trip out was my first trip ever to Las Vegas. The second trip, which was less than a week later, was just as enjoyable as the first, and I enjoyed it. And any updates on Gamblepalooza that you could give us, I would love it, because I would love to come to Gamblepalooza.
You got cut off there. We don't have any solid details on Gamblepalooza. I've been in touch with Vito just very briefly. We talked about it. This is his baby.
Right.
He kind of reached out like, what do you think? We can say it'll probably be in April if it happens at all, but that's all we can say, at this point. So.
Just to throw it out there, we're kind of pushing for Monaco.
Yeah, I think that would be just wonderful. I think that would be very nice.
Vito's on the phone trying to what?
Oui.
Well, it's great he had two great trips.
Yeah, his first ever.
I do agree with the Harrah's comment.
It needs to be kind of redone.
It needs to be redone. But I'll tell you what, the people there are so nice.
Yeah, I don't mind staying there. They upgrade some.
The suites are fine.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean, I've had nice suites there. The rooms are okay.
There's nothing special about the casino.
No.
It's a little cramped.
It is very cramped.
But you're right that we always have good crews there. And
we have
I
good
like crews.
We have nice people. And you know what the main thing is for us too? It is kind of central.
It's got a great location.
Yeah, it's a great location. So it'd be a shame if they closed it down for like 2 years to build something else.
I don't think they do that.
Yeah,
no.
You think they just modify it a little bit? They're limited on space.
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. All right, let's hear from Jim.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. My name's Jim from Ohio. Just calling to share a story with you that happened the other night. I recently discovered your podcast and starting from the beginning, and wanted to thank you for one specific episode over 6 years ago that you did on Mississippi Stud. Anyway, I was listening to the podcast, and it seemed pretty interesting of a game, so I figured I'd give it a try. And no offense, but I didn't know if you were 100% on the mark. You're saying that any pair of 6s through 10s would push every bet that was out there, and you have the opportunity to make 4 different bets. I thought, no way. It had to be, maybe you'd push on your ante, but lose your 3rd or 4th, 5th Street bet or something. But no, it really is the case. I ended up done with work a little early a couple days ago, and I stopped at a local casino here, looked to their Mississippi Stud table, sat down, and my very first hand right off the rip, I got 3 of a kind. And then a couple hands after that, I got a pair. Anyway, the overarching part of it is I played a total of about 15 hands. And I must have had an abnormally good run of luck, because in those 15 hands, I got 3 or 4 different pairs that paid, jacks or better. I hit 3 of a kind twice, and I hit a 5-card flush. So by the time I actually got to count my chips, my $200 initial buy-in was up to about $850, and that was maybe after about 10 hands. So I figured I'd start over. I took $650 and set it to the side, and I said, I'm not going to leave with less than that. I'm not going to get into that stack, but I'll play with this $200 that I have. The rest of the cards didn't really go my way, so I ended up with about $7 left out of the 200 that I put at risk. And anyway, I got done my $650, and I tossed the $7 to the dealer as a tip. Oh, by the way, I had been putting the dealer in for $4 or $5 each hand, so my luck was their luck as well, and they were able to drop about $100 altogether. But yeah, overall, it went really well. I sat at the table for maybe 40 minutes, and I walked away up $450 in profit. It was a good night.
You got cut off there. Good discipline,
Yeah,
right?
very good
It'd be
discipline.
so easy once you go through that 200. Well, maybe I'll play
two
a couple
more hands,
Yeah,
right?
just walk away.
Well, and also, I mean, he tripled his money on Mississippi Stud.
What, 15 hands and he's getting a flush and trips? That's a good run.
That's a good run. That's not going to happen too often.
No. And I was really glad to hear that we explained Mississippi Stud correctly, especially for an episode that old.
Well,
we don't always do that.
That is one thing we pride ourselves on, is Mississippi Stud.
Oh, yeah. We're big Mississippi.
Everything else, we're close.
Have you ever played a hand of Mississippi Stud?
Maybe.
I don't know if you, maybe with me.
Yeah, maybe one or two. I'd be surprised if it was more than 5.
Yeah, well, no, you wouldn't stay at the table. You'd be, I got to get to the craps table.
Some lady at Harris last night said to me that she was new and she had a very, very good roll.
Okay.
And it's what brought me home a winner. Mm-hmm. And I was helping her because she really didn't know craps.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, she's having a good roll. And I said, well, she had a $10 9. And I'm like, put 5 more on it, and then she rolled 9. She's all have. Anyway, she says to me, you really know this game. Do you play very much? And I just looked at her and I kind of laughed and I said, just occasionally. And the dealer was Matthew, and Matthew's like laughing, like every day.
Yeah, I mean, you said this was last night?
Yeah, this was last night.
How often do you go? I haven't been out there in like 2 weeks because of Comic-Con and everything else. You're there every night. Yikes.
Well, somebody's got to keep the doors open.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. All right, next call.
Hi, Virgil, first-time caller. Always love your show. Wanted to give you a quick report on a weekend in Biloxi since it came up in your last show asking about the hurricane. Certainly didn't really affect things. We started our Saturday at the Palace. They were offering $25 in free play for adding your email address to your rewards account. So pretty good value there, we thought. From there, we moved on to Treasure Bay for the best blackjack game in town. That's a $10 double-deck pitch game with stand on soft 17, which is pretty hard to find on the Gulf Coast these days. Of course, blackjack pays 3-2. Always friendly dealers. Unfortunately, got down pretty quick there, so decided to go ahead and move on to New Orleans for our evening. On Saturday, hit up Harrah's. As others have mentioned, table minimums tend to run 15 and up. A little rich for us, so we played some slots and checked the place out. Sunday, on our way home, we made a bit of an out-of-the-way stop to the Silver Slipper. So there we found a full pay Jacks or better at $1, and we were able to quickly get up $100 while making the required points for our new players cards to get a free buffet and some more free play. So Gulf Coast is definitely open and always a good time. Thanks.
And geez, full pay, Jacks are
Full
better.
pay for $1.
$10 double deck, 3-2 blackjack where they stand on soft 17.
I hope Vito's listening.
I'll tell you, Biloxi is in the mix. That's it's definitely in the mix. All right, next up is David.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is David from NorCal, aka 3, not 4. I've been binge listening to your episodes once I stumbled across your podcast and wanted to finish all the previous episodes sequentially, but something told me to listen to the latest one. The first time I heard Dr. Mike refer to a listener as David, I thought I had misheard something. As you guys continued to play more of the voicemails, I started laughing internally. I had to pause the episode to tell my wife what Dr. Mike was doing by calling each listener David. I am assuming this was based on the trip report I emailed about a month ago when my wife and I went to Vegas. If it wasn't, then feel free not to play this so I don't make an ass of just, me, I guess. So I don't hit the 3-minute mark, I will be brief on this, but we had 2 back-to-back 4-hour-plus sessions at Park MGM during our last trip to Vegas. What was great is that although we didn't profit much, we were able to play on minimal bankrolls. My wife played on a $100 bankroll each session, and I played on a $200 bankroll. It seemed that the table would always heat up when there were at least 3 Davids at the table. It got to the point that anyone coming to the table was greeted as David, regardless of gender. I also wanted to give a second trip report, which is when I met both of you at Harrah's, Southern California the weekend after the 4th of July. I apologize again for mixing up your names. I guess I was just starstruck from meeting some of my celebrities. We were down south visiting some friends, and I snuck out after the wife and kids had gone to bed so I could check out Harrah's, Southern California, and hopefully meet you both. It was not a disappointment. Thank you both again for your generosity. For the other folks listening in, I had taken the Uber to Harrah's as we had some refreshing beverages at dinner that impaired my ability to drive. Mark and Dr. Mike were concerned if I would be able to call an Uber back given Harrah's remote location and offered me a ride back with them when they were done. While the thought of getting some late-night Jack in the Box was really tempting, I could not stay long in case one of our young children woke up back at where we were staying. Dr. Mike, I appreciated that you let me play on top of your bets. In the hour that I was there, you placed the 6 and 8 for me for $30 each. After taking the first couple hits, I began to press. By the time the shooter finished, both of those were at $180 each, and I had $325 in my pocket. My $60 had turned into $500, including what was on the table, so not a bad return. I had hoped for one more hit, but unfortunately that was not the case. Still, the $300 left in my pocket after tipping the dealer was enough to pay for my Uber rides and cover lunch with our friends the next day. It was great to meet you both, and I hope to see you at a future meetup with my wife as well. I'm sure Dr. Mike will love the superstitions my wife makes up when she plays. Sorry if my voice quality hasn't been good on this call as I've been fighting a pretty terrible head cold. All right, bye.
All right, yeah, thanks, David. You were, in fact, the inspiration for Mike's hilarious gag on the last episode of Calling Everybody David.
We were worried on the way home whether you actually got an Uber or not.
Yeah, because you disappeared.
I'm home and I'm telling Mark, David's probably still out front there waiting for an Uber. So I'm glad to hear you got one home.
Yep.
And honestly, next time you should go with us because I could not eat all the tacos you ordered.
Yeah, there were just too many.
Yeah, I mean, we ordered for you, David, and then what could I do?
We looked back there, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. David's not with us.
He took an Uber, so I guess I'm going to eat 8 tacos. Yeah. I did not feel good the next night.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, David, don't feel bad about mixing us up. I'll tell you, the first time we met Chuck Monster. So for those who don't know, Hunter and Chuck Monster were the big driving forces behind VIMF, the Vegas Internet Mafia Family Picnic. And if you've ever seen Chuck Monster, he's a very imposing figure. He's tall, right? Big. He's got this long beard. You can't miss him.
Yeah, right.
And so the first time I met him, the first time I ever saw him, and I knew I knew the difference between them, but I saw him and I said, Hunter! He's like, no, I'm Chuck Monster. Oh, and so I felt terrible. So don't worry. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, Hey, you were in the right area.
Yeah, I got
right.
I was in the right area. I didn't call him Tim. I didn't call him Michelle.
Yeah,
I called him Hunter.
Right. I mean, that's somebody he knew.
All right. Hey, let's hear from Professor Slots.
Hi, David and Dr. David. It's John over at the Professor Slots podcast and website. I appreciated your tip advice for slot attendants from your last episode. You were spot on. Since I've gotten over 100 W2Gs playing slot machines, I wanted to let you know there's a bit more you and your listeners might be interested in. For a $1,200 or more taxable jackpot from a slot machine, slot attendants come in pairs, with the second acting as a verifier. I suggest tipping both. Again, your suggested tip amounts were great. I tip a little bit less, $20, for any taxable jackpots under $10,000, but I give a $20 to each. When I hit a taxable jackpot over $10,000, I tip $100 to each slot attendant. Or I try to. Instead of a second slot attendant, it's a floor manager. They approve slot jackpots over $10,000. The difficulty is floor managers can't accept tips. I talked it over with the floor manager after I'd won $14,000, though, and we talked about how we could make this happen. They said the first slot attendant could take the tip and put it into the group tip jar back in the office. That's what I do, but I do think about it. What do you think about tipping people who weren't there to help? I've never won a taxable jackpot over $100,000, but I'd tip $1,000 each. Otherwise, you had another caller, David, who wondered why a machine printed out vouchers once the player's bankroll went over $1,000. The answer is because the machine couldn't hold anymore. Rather, it isn't allowed to hold more than $1,000. Anything won that would push the in-machine balance over that doesn't do so because the difference gets printed out as a voucher. This doesn't apply to winning taxable jackpots, of course. In that case, the machine would lock up instead. Slot machines in Ohio casinos have a maximum bankroll in the machine of $3,000. I've noticed other bankroll limits in other states. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work.
So this is another piece to the puzzle.
Right? That explains a lot.
For these bubble craps machines, we just assumed that they were printing out a voucher because it was getting close to that $1,200 machine mark. And you know what happens when you assume?
you make an ass out of you and Paul.
Exactly. When it turns out that it must be that at least the machine at Harrah's has an in-machine balance maximum of $1,000. And it's just a coincidence that it's close to that $1,200 mark. And as soon as I heard John talk about this, didn't that happen to your brother once? Wasn't he playing a machine?
Right.
And remember, stuff started printing out and he didn't know why?
Right.
That's probably why.
Right. Yeah, that's right. He did have that issue.
So there you go. It has nothing to do with W2Gs or a $1,200 max on a slot machine or on a video poker machine.
It just has a limit on what the machine.
And for whatever reason, we don't know why it might be set at that balance at Harrah's or who knows, but that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you think they'd set the machine with such a high limit that people wouldn't get there because they want to keep your money in the machine.
Yeah, I know. But
when you get that voucher in your hand, it's like, I'm going to cash this baby out. When it's in the machine, it's like, I'll play a couple more.
Right. You're more likely to cash those out and not put them back in the machine.
Yeah. You think they'd want to set those high.
Oh, well.
Now, maybe there's some law. Maybe,
who knows? It could be
we
up to the
know.
casino. We don't know.
Could be up to the casino, but there could be a gaming. These Indian casinos have a gaming pack with the state. The state may say, well, you got to set so many machines at this and so many machines at that.
I don't even want to speculate, but that certainly explains why this is happening.
Yeah. So thanks for calling, John, because that really does help.
Yeah. All right. Next call.
Hey guys, this is Eamon from Los Angeles. Quick trip report here from Schenectady, New York at the Rivers Schenectady Casino. It's my second time here. Last time I was here was probably 2.5 years ago. A lot's changed in the area. Just, right next to it, there's now a Druthers Brewing, which is a pub restaurant as well. They had some really great, interesting beers, great mac and cheese. After that, headed over to the casino. I was with a group, so I didn't have a lot of time to play. Played some blackjack. It is 3-2. And then headed over to the craps table. That went really well. They do have the all tall small. It is 34-1 on the small and tall and 175-1 on the make 'em all, which is nice compared to, a strip casino. If you're looking for a drink, anything under $6.25 is free when you're playing at the tables. So I couldn't order a Jameson and ginger ale, but I could order any sort of bourbon and Diet Coke. Anyways, look forward to sending some more. Thanks.
Okay, good. More information on New York Casino.
I'm laughing because did they bring you a little thing that's, okay, here are the $6.50 and under drinks. Here are the $6.50 and over drinks. I mean,
I don't know. That is a kind of an odd amount, but
how do you some guy in the meeting, they have some meeting. Yeah, I think $6.50 is what we're going to shoot for. We'll give them $6.50, but if it's $6.85, they got to pay.
They got to pay, and don't give them a list.
Yeah.
Just as soon as they ask you what drink, you just say no, and then they have to ask again. How about this one? No,
it won't be free. I know you want your Jameson, but that's not free.
Yes. All right, I'll take that. Thank you.
Right. I can't even get a lemonade when I go to the casino.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm a listener out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm just calling to give a little trip report. Yeah, my brother's bachelor party was this past weekend in Battle Creek, Michigan at FireKeepers Casino. We got up there Friday. We stayed till early Sunday morning. We all did pretty well. I stuck to the craps and the blackjack, but my brother, whose bachelor party it was, he likes the slots. Playing this slot machine was the Monopoly machine. I sat there and I watched him put a $100 bill in. And it was a $5 pull machine for max bet. He hit a progressive for $592. Cashed out, put that same $100 in the machine next to it. Hit another progressive for $500 and something. And then he went to the machine on the backside of it. There were 4 Monopoly machines right there. And he hit the one more up progressive, which was over 1,000. It was like 1,000 and some change. And the weird thing was they didn't come hand pay. They just let him print a ticket out right there. And we were both kind of looking at each other like, oh my gosh. So long story short, we called it a night around 2 a.m. He had woke up early and went back down there to play that machine, and they had shut the machine down. It said temporarily disabled. So I don't know if the machine was messing up or what, but he had a pretty good week, and I think he ended up going home with about $4,000, maybe a little more. But yeah, that was at FireKeepers in Battle Creek, Michigan. Thanks for the call, guys. Bye.
Nice, good bachelor party.
Yeah, that's a great party.
Probably you didn't get a hand pay. The amount was probably under $1,200. So even though it was over $1,000, sometimes they don't have to give you a hand pay in that case. Have you ever played these Monopoly machines?
No,
I know
I
which
have
ones he's
not.
talking about.
Yeah,
I have.
Yeah.
What my family and I, when we were out at Hamul recently, we play. It's fun.
I've seen it.
I think they're really fun. So yeah.
I should get my dad to play that.
I think he would like it.
He would like that. He would like it a lot. He was playing Monopoly with my daughters the other day.
Oh, real Monopoly.
Real Monopoly, yeah. And they love playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
And my youngest daughter was kicking his butt, and he was furious because she had put a couple of hotels on a property and he landed on it, and he was like, no, I don't have to pay that much. You're cheating me. And she's like, it's right here, Grandpa. It's right here. And their big argument over what he has to pay for landing on her spot. And he said, I think they're cheating.
They're cheating. The way this is written here is really vague.
Right. He did not want to pay the rent for those hotels. And I'm explaining to him, Dad, you've got to get property and you've got to get hotels. We're going over the whole how Monopoly works.
Yeah, you got to be aggressive at the beginning.
Right, at the beginning. And he's like, no, I'm just collecting my $200 to go. And he had a lot of cash, but he had to keep giving it to her.
Yeah.
So eventually, the game was called because I couldn't take the arguing anymore.
That's fantastic. Now he's not being like a nice grandfather, like, oh no,
not when it comes to games. He wanted to kick their butts.
Oh, that's great. All right, next up is Tony.
Hey, Dave and Dr. David. This is Tony from Texas, and I had a couple of questions. First, I was going to Vegas probably 4 times a year. I used to be platinum at Caesars, which was Total Rewards. I'm not very big player, so I would stay at Rio mostly, and I'd get my rooms comped, and there was no resort fee. But all of a sudden, they started charging the resort fee for platinum players, and, I kind of veered away from them, but I'm not really understanding why the casinos are charging resort fees. Not there to weight train. I'm not there to go to their pool. I'm there to gamble. I'm there to have a good time. I have internet on my phone. What is the deal with this resort fee? And do you foresee the hotels and casinos, not just in Vegas, but around the country, ditching that? I'm wondering if it's some sort of a tax relief for them to charge a resort fee and not have to pay a full-blown hotel tax, because they're even charging a lot of them resort fees on comp rooms. And when are we going to have real casino gambling in Texas? Any interest in that? I can't wait. Anyway, love your show. Have a great day. Thanks again.
It does seem strange that you can't play Texas Hold'em in Texas.
Right.
Who knows? It seems like, they would want to get on board because they're losing, revenue to people who go to Louisiana or Oklahoma.
Go to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
If you live in northern part of Texas, you just go to Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean,
now there are some small casinos in Texas that are really more like bingo parlors.
Right.
But I don't know if you heard about this just within the last few weeks. A man did recently win $1.5 million on a slot machine at the Kickapoo Casino in Texas.
I love these names.
Yeah, so there is a little bit there, but who knows? Now, as far as resort fees go, resort fees have nothing to do with taxes. They have nothing to do with extra amenities that you get at the hotel. It's just a way for hotels to increase their visibility on third-party travel sites. So if you are offering a room for $50, and you don't say that there's a resort fee that's like $40, right? You're going to show up as one of the less expensive options on a site like Travelocity or Orbit, something like that.
So when somebody goes online and they look at, that one's cheaper.
That's the only reason.
Right.
Now, they are terrible. We want them all to go away. And in fact, there is some legal action currently going on that will hopefully do away with them. But keep this in mind. Even if the resort fees go away, you aren't going to be paying less for your hotel room.
No.
The rate's just going to go up and it's not going to be called a resort fee. So right now, let's say you're paying $60 for the room plus a $40 resort fee.
Right.
Well, okay, once they get rid of resort fees, well, it's just going to be a $100 hotel room.
Right.
So it's not going to change. It's just
you'll know. Hiding.
Yeah, it's just you'll know up front.
You'll know up front. It's just a way of hiding things. I mean, look at the airlines that do it. Mm-hmm. Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, Spirit's a good example.
Oh, yeah. It comes up as the cheapest flight to Vegas, right?
That's right.
But then you look and you've got got to pay all these little extra.
Yeah, you got to
things.
pay to get your boarding pass.
You got to pay to get a boarding pass. You got to pay to carry your purse on. You got to pay to have actual oxygen in the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, they tack all this stuff on, and it comes out it's the same price as Southwest.
Yeah, so,
but when you Google that, you get they're the cheapest.
Yeah, right. All right, next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Tyler from Minnesota again. We love playing craps. We bring up a portable craps table to our vacation in northern Minnesota. We also like to fish. I know Dr. Mike likes fishing. Mark, you not so much. But my dad was lucky enough to catch a trophy walleye 30 inches on the cabin lake that we go to. That's the biggest fish I've ever seen. Dr. Mike might be able to attest to that since his trips up to Canada. That's a pretty big walleye.
That's a very big walleye.
I'm freaking out because it is a trophy fish, and my dad goes, well, you're pretty excited about this. And I'm yeah, Dad, this is the biggest one I've ever seen in my life. He goes, you're acting as if you won the fire bet. And I go, yeah, it's that rare. This is a mega fish here. So I thought you might appreciate that. Everything that my dad really thinks about and talks about, he can divert into a craps comment. And trophy walleye fishing is no different. Love the podcast. Have a great one. Thanks. Bye.
Have you ever eaten walleye, Mark?
Oh, if I have, I don't know.
Well, it's a game fish, so you can't buy it in stores or restaurants.
Oh.
But walleye is the best fish ever.
Really?
Oh, it is like white, flaky meat.
Huh.
It is so good.
Okay.
I mean, like a nice piece of cod or something. It doesn't have that fishy taste. It is so good. It really, seriously, I think the best fish that you can get.
Okay.
For me, it's walleye and maybe tie with halibut.
Okay.
Right. That's where I feel about walleye. But that's he caught a big walleye.
Oh, it's a big one? Okay.
That's a big
Because I certainly don't know. Okay. Very good. All right. Next up is Adam.
Hey, guys. It's Adam from Connecticut. I just wanted to call and give a quick update on MGM Springfield. They now have bubble craps and a roulette wheel that has a $3 minimum. It's one of the electronic roulette wheels. So that is very player-friendly in my opinion. I do have a question about bubble craps, though. On this machine, it's by a company I believe called Interblock. There's a bet called the Lucky Shooter bet. I have played it every time I've played the bubble craps, and it seems to work out okay. I know it's a side bet, so Dr. Mike will love it. Mark, you'll hate it for sure. I'm just curious if you guys know what the house edge is compared to, say, the fire bet and the all tall, all small. It seems to work out a little bit better than the fire bet, although to a much smaller amount for sure. I've enjoyed teaching some friends how to play craps on the Interblock bubble craps at MGM Springfield. It's not as fun as a regular craps table with the live dealers and the big crowd, but it is a nice way to kind of budget your money, and it is nice to see $5 craps finally at MGM Springfield. The $10 tables are more prevalent, so they seem to be listening a little bit to the player complaints over the last few months. Even on a Friday or Saturday night, they'll usually have one or two $10 live craps tables. All right, I'm curious to hear your input on the Lucky Shooter bet. Other than that, I'll hear from you guys soon. Bye.
All right, Mike, you ready to hear about the Lucky Shooter?
Yeah.
This, I think, is probably the most difficult crap side bet to explain.
Right.
Okay,
well,
so,
I was reading your synopsis here, and it's pretty difficult.
So if
to explain.
hopefully I can do a good job here. If I can get you to understand, then I've done my job.
You've probably got it.
All right. So it's offered on these Interblock machines. The machines are called organic dice. The Lucky Shooter bet.
What's that mean? Organic dice.
Well, I don't know what organic means, but if you look at the machine, it's one of those machines that have 3 dice, where 2 of them are white and 1 is black. Oh, okay. So you can play sick bow if you want on the machine with all 3 dice, or if you're just playing craps, it's just the white dice that correspond to craps.
Somebody found a way to combine sick bow and craps.
Yes, they have. Yes,
nice.
So that's it. All right.
That person needs a life.
First of all, let's talk about what box numbers are. Okay, box numbers are basically the numbers that can be possible points or numbers that you can make place bets on.
Right.
So 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Correct.
So when we say box numbers, that's what we're talking about. Okay. The Lucky Shooter is a bet that the shooter will roll a certain number of box numbers after establishing a point. Right? There's a little more to it than that. So let's go through the specifics. So the bet is made before a new come out roll. It doesn't have to be a new shooter. Just
after they made a point when they're coming out.
When they're coming out, or it is a new shooter. Just anytime there's a come out roll, that's when you can make the bet. Okay. If the come out roll is 2, 3, or 12, the bet loses.
Okay. It's like you crapped out.
If the roll is 7 or 11, it pushes. So it just stays out there.
So it just stays
right?
there.
2, 3, 12's loose. 7, 11, it just pushes.
No, that's good so far.
Now, once a point is established, the lucky shooter bet will win based on the number of hits the shooter rolls. And a hit is defined as rolling a box number that hasn't already been rolled.
Oh, okay. So if you rolled a 5, that's one hit. Then if you roll another 5, that just doesn't count.
That is not another hit, but there's a little bit more to it, okay? The bet is resolved. The bet is over when the shooter rolls a box number that he's already rolled. Or he rolls a 2, 3, 7, 11, or 12. Or he rolls the point.
Wow. So if your point was 6.
Right.
The most you could win would be to roll a 4, a 5, an 8, a 9, a 10.
Right. And
then the point.
And the point. That's you actually get a little bit more money if you roll the point as kind of the last one. But the bet is...
But if you make the point, let's say your point was 6, then you rolled a 4, then you rolled a 6, you only got one...
That's just one hit.
One hit.
And the bet only pays when you have 2 or more hits. There are different pay tables, but 2 or more...
Boy, this must have a high house edge.
The house edge is about 13%.
Okay.
Which is comparable to the all small tall, depending on what the payouts are. It's certainly better than the fire bet. The fire bet's terrible, over 20%.
Right. Well, that's a lot harder.
But yeah, so for example, let's say you come out on a 6. That's your point. You roll a 5, you roll a 4, then you roll another 5. The bet's over.
Yeah,
You've only gotten
so you got
2 hits.
But then the bet ends, but you can't continue it because you're not coming out.
Right. It's resolved. It's resolved at that point.
Oh, okay.
It gets. I don't know if it gets paid right away.
So you could go on and roll 10 more numbers, like a 5.
But the bet's already resolved.
But that bet does. You cannot remake that bet.
Not until another come out roll. Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. So there are a lot of ways that the bet
ends.
Right. If you repeat one of the box numbers you've already rolled, or if you roll 2, 3, 7, 11, 12, or if you roll the point.
It's weird because let's say I make that bet. A person comes out on 6.
Yes.
Then they roll a 2.
Bet's over.
But then I might roll 20 more numbers before I make a point or something, or 7 out.
Yep.
So you can't make that bet again. It seems like it'd be not beneficial for the casino.
Well,
right?
that's the bet. It's a strange bet, and
it's very strange.
It's only on machines, so it's easy for the machine to keep track. As opposed to a human dealer. But anyway,
would that be hard to program?
No, it wouldn't be hard to program. No,
okay.
No, it wouldn't be hard.
It's not that bad.
No,
I have nothing about that. But
that'd be very straightforward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So. Now here's one page.
It's just hard for the people to figure out.
Yeah, that's right. Hard for people.
How do you
what
write
did I
that
do?
on a machine?
It keeps track of the hits.
No, but I mean, how do you explain that to the person playing the game?
Oh, explain how the bet works?
When someone walks up to a table at Harrah's, they don't know what the fire bet is, and you're trying to explain to them?
It'd be a very hard one to explain.
Yeah,
you need to go through examples before
how do you have a
actually,
printout that if no one else is playing bubble craps, you just walk up and you see, oh, there's this bet, but you have no clue how it works.
Well, there might be an explanation on there, but it's a difficult explanation.
Yeah, that
agree.
would be a hard explanation.
So here's one possible pay table. If you get 2 hits, it pays 2 for 1, 2 for 1. So that's just even money.
Even money.
If you get 3 hits, it's 4 for 1. 4 hits, 10 for 1. 5 hits, 100 for 1. And then if you get 5 hits plus the point, which is hard to do, right? You got to roll all 5 individuals and the point, 500 for 1.
Have you seen where there's any max bet you could make on that?
I didn't see what it was. I would imagine maybe $5 on a machine like that, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, 5 be what? 500 to 1 be
$2,500, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I'd make that bet.
I know you would.
I wouldn't be happy because, as soon as I, like I said, my example, as soon as that 2 came up, I think, great. I lost my $5. I can't even bet it again to get it back.
No, you can't. But, every once in a while, even if it is one of those examples we give, like come out on a 6, then roll 4, 5, 4.
Yeah.
Well, you've won even money.
You
got
your money
something
back.
But you can't make the bet again until it come out.
Right.
There.
Okay.
All right. Next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. Great show. John from New York here. Thanks for all the information and humor that your podcast provides. My wife and I recently took a trip to Mount Airy Casino in eastern PA. We try to get there every month or so. It's a nice mid-sized casino. They've got a good selection of slots and quite a few table games. My wife's the slot player, and so she gets the free rooms where I play blackjack and craps and get far less. PA is pretty good for blackjack, though. They pay 3 to 2 and stand on saw 17. Mount Airy uses 8-deck shoes. Usually the minimums are $10, but sometimes on a Saturday night they can go up to $15. They have 3 craps tables, which are also usually $5, but I've seen them go up to $10 when it gets real busy. There was an interesting incident this last trip as I was about to buy in. I approached the table, and it was the middle of the roll, so I start to get my money out and my card, but of course I'm not planning on buying into the hand dance. At the same time, another person approaches the table and threw $1,500 down. The shooter was not happy. The box held the dice, took the money, counted it all out, cut out the chips. All the while, the shooter is yelling that they should not be doing that, and now he was going to roll a 7. The box showed no mercy, and if anything, was a bit rude to the shooter. Finally, he has the dealers slide the chips back to the new player. Note, I still haven't bought in, and I heard Mark all the way from San Diego turning off all his bets for the next roll. Finally, the dice get slid to the shooter, and the shooter comes up, shoots, and gets a 9. He had a few more rolls before finally 7ing out. He immediately colored up, left the table, still yelling at the box. He left no tips for the dealers. While the box really had no choice but to take the money, I think he could have been a bit more understanding to the shooter. I think he cost the crew some money. Any thoughts on this? It was a good trip. I ended up about $500, which I think covered most of my wife's losses, so not bad for a mini vacation. Thanks again for a great show, and keep them coming. Thanks.
So that's a good question. How should the crew react when someone buys in the middle of a roll?
Well, they have no reaction because a guy throws his money down. I mean, they got to color it.
Of course, they have to cash it in, right? They can't say, no, there's a... Yeah, they have to do it.
They got to color it up. So for them, it's like, well, this happens all the time.
Right.
So we're just going to color it up and move on.
Right. Now, what about this example where the shooter is yelling at the box, hey, don't do that? Well, how do you react if you're the boxman?
If I had the boxman, I'd just look at him and say, sir, we have to. The guy wants to buy in. I might not agree with it. You might not agree with it, but this guy wants to.
Oh, I don't think the box should even say that.
Well, maybe
right.
Not that.
No.
It
I
might
think
offend the guy.
I think the box. He can't be rude, but he has to say, no. When somebody buys in, we have to, give them the chips right away.
Well, now if Wendy was in the box, she'd just flip him off.
Yeah,
and we'd move on.
That'd be good.
Settled. I mean, that's it. It's done. It's settled.
That's good. We have seen the crew react badly. Like, this guy's buying in the middle of a roll. Yeah. You can't do that and be professional in a situation
It's not
like
professional. And you know what I hate? The player shooting. He put them in a bad position.
Oh, yeah. The player,
he put them in a position where they can't win.
Yeah.
If they say anything at all, they're going to offend him or the guy buying in.
Right.
So he put the crew in a bad position. And they're there to, get through their day, take their paycheck home, hopefully make some tips.
I don't think the shooter should be saying anything to anyone.
No.
But he certainly shouldn't be saying anything to the crew because they have to do it.
Right.
If he wants to say something to the guy buying in, well, whatever. I wouldn't do it, but
why be controversial? What he should do is change the karma.
And how
just ask for new dice.
Oh, there you go.
Take a lap around while the guy's buying in. Take a lap around.
Hold your hot chocolate on your head.
Hold your hot chocolate on your head. Walk away from the table. Stand behind some slot machine way far away. Or do this. Push your chair way back away from the table. And then when they push the dice to you, take your chair and just shove it into the table.
Oh, that's a good idea. And a lot of craps tables have chairs?
Oh, well, ours do.
Okay.
You know what, though? I was laughing at the beginning of this because Mount Airy Casino.
Yeah.
In my next life, Mark, I am coming back as the guy who names casinos.
Okay.
I mean, there's just going to be me. And then when a casino opens, it's going to be some law where they have to okay, Mike, what's the name going to be? And I'm going to come up with names. I just love these names.
Now, that's going to happen in your next life?
In my next life.
So in your next life...
I can't do it now. I'm too old.
You're too old. So what are you going to do in that next life to get to that point? From childhood to adulthood, what are you going to do to get to the point where you're the guy who names
casinos? Yeah. Well, no, it's just karma. It's just got to happen. I mean, because my craps playing in this life has qualified me for that next life. I just love these names.
All right, last call.
Hey guys, it's Ryan from Las Vegas. Just want to tell you guys about something that happened. I was up in Carson City this last weekend meeting some family up there. I'd never been up there, so tried to go to the craps table on a Saturday evening, about 4 o'clock, and there was nobody there. The craps table was closed down. There was only one craps table, but it was closed down, and there was a sign that said there was craps lessons at 5. and the table would open after that. So I went back around 5 just to kind of see what the craps lessons were, and it was one guy teaching it. And as I walked up to the table, everybody on that table's yelling, 7, 7. They're all chanting 7, which I had never heard at a craps table. So I walk up, and everybody's got their money on the don't pass. Now, this is still just a lesson. They're just teaching them how to play. So he was teaching them all the don't. And I asked him, I was like, oh, is this just part of it that you teach on the don't? And he said, no, all I teach is the don't because that's all I play. So once that table opened up, he convinced all the people that he was teaching to buy in, for $20. It was a $3 minimum there. Buy in for $20 and play. So they all played the don't. So I bought in for $200 and played how I regularly play, the pass line with full odds and my place bets, and actually made a 4-point fire, which was funny because they all were not understanding while they were losing. And I was just kind of laughing. And then I was telling them, just follow me. This is another way to play. You can play the don't, but a lot of people don't play that way. Another thing that was funny was even on a Saturday night, there's only 6 people on the table, but there's no stick. There's just 2 of the box dealers, and then one of them handles the stick. Whoever's shooting the opposite side, that person holds the sticks. Also, you can't make any of the hard ways, the hops, the horns. You can't make any of those bets while there's no actual stick man because they say they can't reach it, which is really weird. I've never seen that before. So I didn't play for long. I made $100 and I left, but it was just weird. It was a weird crowd. I've never seen that before on a craps table, but maybe that's just Carson City. I don't know. All right, guys. Later.
A lot of good stuff in that call.
That's a great story. I mean, who would teach the don't?
Look, when you're teaching the game, teach the game. Teach the don't, that's fine. But explain the pass line first, everything else, and then say, here's the don't. It's the opposite. You don't teach people who are learning what you like to do. You teach the game.
It'd be funny, though, to teach them the don't, and then they go to some casino, and they're kind of trying to figure out why everyone hates them, and, why people are like, get rid of that don't guy, right? It's like, well, what?
Now, as far as no stick man on the table, when you and I used to deal those casino nights, that's the way it was. There were just two dealers, and whoever was shooting, the dealer on the opposite side would have the stick. Now, our tables weren't as big as, real casino tables, but they won't take any prop bets.
Yeah. I don't know. What's going on kind of strange, but it would be a hard reach.
Oh, it would be a hard reach, but come on. That's where the casino makes its money. That's funny.
That's losing money on the casino. The whole story is like a bad dream.
Yeah,
it's the dream I have. Yeah, it's the dreams I have, and I'm glad that Ryan called because I got to tell you this story. I was going to tell you this afterwards, but I'll tell it on the air.
All right.
I woke up 2 mornings ago and I was so pissed off, and I told my wife, just getting out of bed, and I said, "Oh, I'm so mad," and she said, "What?" And I said, "Well, I just had this dream right before I woke up. I had this dream that I was at a blackjack table, and there was some younger guy playing blackjack." And he was asking the guy next to him what he should do. He was at third base, and he was, should I hit or should I stay? Right. The dealer had like a 4-up. Mm-hmm. And the guy next to him's looking at it, and they're talking about it. And I'm at the table, and I pipe in and say, you can show everybody. It doesn't matter. We can all give you input. Mm-hmm. And so, I can do that? Oh, okay. And he flips it over. He's got 19. And I was so mad. I'm like, you can't hit 19. He's got a 4. And I'm trying to explain it.
Oh, yeah. That's why he can't hit 19, because he's got a 4. Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to explain, and I said, you need to get one of those little cards that has basic strategy. They sell them at most of the gift shops and stuff, right? And the dealer pipes up, no, we don't sell those. And I was just infuriated. And I woke up, you've had those dreams where
they're so realistic and you wake up and got the same emotion.
Yeah, and you're in a bad mood. I'm taking a shower and I'm thinking, what an idiot. He was discussing hitting 19. And I don't know if I was mad because, he was playing poorly, or I was mad because the game was being delayed because he was trying to decide whether to hit 19. It's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, right?
Right. Like that one where he turns over one card and it's 21.
Right.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donations from Brian Dancer, and from Brian and Sarah, and from Joshua. Thanks very much for those recurring donations. Also, we got 2 donations from Carson. So he sent us a donation and he wrote, "Thanks for the content. Wish me luck on the craps in Vegas next week." And then a few days later, he sent another donation and wrote, I should have specified who the karma was for because I did terrible at craps, but my friend turned $100 into $600 in like 3 hours at blackjack. So this karma donation is for me.
All right, now I hope that
works. Right? Yes. Also, a donation from Enrique. He says, karma donation for my Vegas trip July 21st. Love the podcast. Keep up the great work. Hopefully you had a good trip, Enrique.
Yes, that's passed.
Okay. And finally, a donation from Sundown Brown for a karma donation going to the Golden Nugget for my honeymoon today, looking for my first royal flush. Love the show, Sundown Brown. So
I like that he's going for his honeymoon?
Yeah.
And he's hoping to get his first royal flush.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. On my honeymoon, and you know how I like a casino, I was not hoping for a royal flush. But he's my new hero.
Yeah, exactly. He's got his priorities straight.
He's got his life squared away.
Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at Facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. What do you got, Dr. Mike?
Well, we've had a good year so far. I want to say that.
Yeah.
We have actually had a very good year as far as the gambling part of our lives.
Yep.
And the rest of our lives actually have been good.
Yep.
I may be going in August.
To Vegas?
To Vegas.
Okay.
Kind of like later August.
Okay.
To get some free play offer.
Okay.
That's still up in the air.
All right.
So I don't know if I'm going to make that or not. But
Okay.
my host called me about it. And that,
bugging you about it, yeah.
that kind of put a bug in my hair. But so we may go for that. And then we're definitely going in October.
Yes, for the summit. Yep.
For the summit. So, and I would suggest that people go to that.
Yeah, that's a big event. You get a lot of like-minded people.
It's a good time,
Yeah.
right? And there's a lot of good people. Brian and Sarah should go.
Yeah. It'd be great to see them again.
In a while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Baseball season is turned out to be our normal baseball season. Although
exactly.
I want to emphasize that the You Can Bet on That podcasters are 5-0?
It's 4-0 or 5-0 for actually attending Padres games. Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. So we have not lost. Now, with the Padres record, that's pretty amazing.
It is good.
That we've never seen them lose in person.
Yep.
I've seen it on TV a lot.
Yep.
But we're going to hang in there with the Padres. Next year's our year.
Okay, sounds good.
And football's coming, so that's...
it's right around the corner.
Yeah, and that is actually, for us, from a gambling standpoint, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'll turn that over to you.
So we'll have, Saturdays, like 450 games, I think
probably
it is.
something like that. Yeah.
To watch.
All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.